Welcome to Discovery! Roll the intro, please.
Hordes of fallen masters, echoes in the deep. Chaos, blood and fury, destruction unleashed. Fire back, no mercy, oblivion awaits. Discovery, 2325 awaits.
Welcome back to another episode of Discovery. It's been a big week for metal. Dream Theater has released their brand new album Parasomnia, and I'll be sharing my thoughts and review on it in the main event this week. But that's not all. We have some fantastic new releases today, spanning from black metal, black and death, doom, progressive metal, and even technical death metal. This episode of Discovery promises to be fucking action-packed. So before I start, pop your favourite discoveries down below. Let me know what you thought about the brand new Dream Theater album or even the Obscura album. And let's get on with this brand new discovery. To kick off Discovery, we have a one-man band from Switzerland, Ravendust, and their third studio album, Life Death, released independently in February. Take a listen. This is a really strong black metal album. The production is quite unusual. It sounds unbalanced at times, but in a way that complements that raw, unfiltered tone of the music. It adds an eerie, almost outer-worldly feel that works perfectly in this context. Raven, the mastermind behind Ravendust, delivers fantastic vocals. His black and shrieks and are piercing, yet he also taps into eerie, dark tones that enhance the album's haunting atmosphere. The guitar work is a standout, featuring fantastic lead passages across nearly every track. Songs like Newborn, Living for Dying, and A Return of the Great Violence boast memorable fucking melodies that linger long after the album ends. The drumming is another highlight. The tone is incredibly fucking satisfying, and the fills and patterns add an extra layer of depth to the music. Every song on this album has something compelling to offer, with strong songwriting that keeps things engaging from start to finish. And while the riffs are great, it's the lead guitar work with its emotive solos and tremolo picking that truly elevates the album's dark and immersive sound. Speaking of fucking solos, Living for Dying features some mouth-watering guitar work that harkens back to like traditional heavy metal influences, blending seamlessly with the blackened aggression. But amidst the chaos, there are moments of beauty. The clean guitar sections provide a breath of fresh air, enhancing the album's atmosphere. Introspection, for example, opens with haunting clean melodies before plunging into a whirlwind of black metal. At around about 50 minutes, Life Death offers plenty to digest. From sweeping melodies to powerful drum fills and infectious guitar solos, it keeps you headbanging until the very last fucking note. The reduction, while unusual, becomes more appealing with repeated listens. It's raw, unpolished, and perfectly suited to the album's, mood. With 13 tracks, there's a lot to enjoy here. And the variety keeps things fresh. I'm scoring this album a 75%, though that rating could definitely rise over time, especially considering some of the more intriguing moments, like when Raven throws in those guttural reminiscent of Shining, leading into fast-paced groove-laden riffs. Yeah, Life and Death is getting a solid 75%. And it's an album that only gets better the more you fucking dive into it. We're soaring over to Ireland now to uncover Sacred Noose and their debut album Vanishing Spires. It was released independently on February 2nd. This is a dark and dissonant black and doom metal album drenched in spiraling melodies, thunderous percussion, and an ominous, suffocating atmosphere. From the very first note, you're plunged into a fucking bleak soundscape where eerie guitar tones twist and turn like ghostly apparitions, and the drums hit with the force of an oncoming storm. At just around half an hour, the album is short but works in its favor. You'll want to immerse yourself in this abyss again and again. The guitars have a sharp, high-pitched tone that might seem piercing at first, but they blend seamlessly into the album's chaotic, oppressive environment. The percussion is relentless, a wall of sound crashing down upon you, enveloping you in a sheer fucking intensity. The lead guitar work is particularly striking, creating an unsettling effect as different sections seem to play in opposition, enhancing the album's dissonance. Vocally, there's an impressive range at play. The guttural growls are cavernous, while the occasional high-pitched shrieks cut through the mix like a tortured soul crying out from the fucking abyss. What makes it even more intriguing is that the vocalist doesn't adopt the traditional blackened rasps. Instead, his voice carries a weight that leans more toward pure doom and despair, adding another layer of depth to the experience. The album's production is raw and unpolished, perfectly suited to the crushing apocalyptic atmosphere it conjures. It feels like the soundtrack to a fucking crumbling city teetering on the edge of destruction. Every note drips with an impending sense of doom, as if something monstrous is fucking lurking just out of sight, waiting to consume everything in its path. The self-titled track, Sacred Noose, stands out as a highlight, balancing dissonance and atmosphere with razor-sharp black metal sections. The percussion here is particularly suffocating, enclosing in on you with every fucking beat. Entrance by Concrete Lave is another beast entirely, boasting crushing guitar riffs and eerie, almost hypnotic melodies. Moribund is downright terrifying. It sounds like the prelude to an inescapable war, a descent into chaos with no return. The closing track, True Emancipation, delivers another crushing assault, layering multiple guitar sections on top of each other and unleashing some of the most monstrous fucking vocals on the album. Overall, Vanishing Spires is an excellent fucking debut from Sacred Noose, an album dripping with atmosphere and a sense of impending doom. I'm scoring at a solid 75%. My only critique, I fucking wanted more. For a Black and Doom album, it could have benefited from one more long track to stretch it to a more substantial 45 minutes, but as it stands, this is a fantastic first offering, and I can't wait to hear what Sacred Noose conjures up next. Our next stop takes us to France, where we uncover the haunting and enigmatic world of Pastoria, a one-man black metal project that has just unleashed its debut album, La Chute de la maison Usher. I don't fucking know how to pronounce that. Released independently on February 1st. Take a listen. This album is a raw, immersive, and unapologetically strange experience that demands patience to fully fucking appreciate. At first listen, this album leaves you bewildered, thinking, what the fuck am I listening to? But as the layers unfold with repeated plays, its eerie charm rises from the ashes, revealing a truly unique, atmospheric fucking curation. The production is deliberately raw, reminiscent of like Peste Noir's debut, Les Scènes des Siècles. Primal, unpolished, and drenched in an old world. Primal, unpolished, and drenched in an old world mystique. The mastermind behind Pastoria, Vestusta, creates an unorthodox sonic journey that is as unsettling as it is fascinating. The album is structured like a gothic novel, with each track unfolding as a chapter from a foreboding prologue to an apocalyptic epilogue. Right from the opening moments, the atmosphere is rich with orchestral swells and ominous howling wolves, immediately setting a gothic and almost vampiric tone. The compositions have a cinematic quality, weaving between eerie ambience of ferocious black metal. The riffs are sharp and often hypnotic, and the percussion is deceptively simple yet striking, and the vocals are piercing and fucking menacing, adding a layer of raw urgency to the experience. Chapter 1 immediately plunges the listener into an unsettling realm, its haunting tremolo-picked melodies and tortured raspy vocals making for an eerie and disorientating experience. Chapter 2 takes a different approach, slow and foreboding, built upon eerie, almost whispered vocals and melancholic piano melodies that evoke an overwhelming sense of dread. Just as the track lulls you into a spectral haze, an unexpectedly awesome beat kicks in, creating a mesmerizing contrast between the ghostly atmosphere and almost ritualistic groove. Chapter 3 is among the most hard fucking hitting moments on the album, raw in tone and relentless in execution. Chapter 5 stands out with its infectious melody laced with ominous atmospheric organs that transport you straight to the 1700s. The vocals here are the most vicious on the entire album, shrieking with an almost unhinged intensity that adds to the song's sinister energy. Chapter 7 takes on a mid-tempo approach filled with deep guttural black metal growls and infectious raw guitar leads that cut through the mix with an unsettling sharpness. The pacing makes it feel like a slow march toward impending doom, a stark contrast to the more chaotic moments of the album. While La Chute de la Maison Usher is undoubtedly a fascinating listen, it does have moments where the composition feels a little bit fucking disjointed, with certain sections not flowing as seamlessly as they could. However, the ambition and the atmosphere make up for its occasional rough edges. Despite its unrefined nature, this album offers a compelling and fantastic listen. Fans of raw black metal with a gothic edge will find plenty to admire. Pastoria have crafted a debut that feels both mystical and menacing, and I'll be keeping an eye on where Vestusta takes this project next. It's not a flawless album per se, but its eerie cinematic and cinematic approach and unrelenting rawness make it a rewarding listen for those willing to embrace its unorthodox vision. With that being said, I'm scoring this a 75%. A terrific album from start to finish. Now let's head to Germany, where Obscura has unleashed a brand new album, A Sonication, released on February 7th through Nuclear Blast. Right off the bat, this is an album that grabs you and doesn't let go. From start to finish, it's an exhilarating display of technical precision, blistering speed, and intricate compositions. The musicianship is fucking top tier, as expected from Obscura, but what sets a Sonication apart is its balance of sheer technicality and melody. It's still packed with the mind-bending fretwork and complex structures the band is known for, but this time there's an added sense of atmosphere and melody woven throughout. Stefan Kummer's vocals are particularly strong on this record. He delivers his signature deep growls and gutturals with absolute ferocity, but there are moments where he incorporates blackened screams, adding an extra layer of intensity. The production is crisp and powerful, ensuring that every instrument cuts through the mix while still maintaining the organic feel that keeps the music alive. The guitar work is phenomenal, intricate yet melodic, precise yet expressive. The lead saw, the riffs are razor sharp, and the bass work, as always, fucking impressive, providing a solid... Well, the light just went out, so I guess we're doing this bareback. But anyway, so where was I? The album is absolutely packed with energy, and that's evident in songs like Silver Linings, a hard-hitting track that blends odd time signatures with melodic phrasing. The interplay between chaos and control makes it a standout, keeping the listener engaged with it, keeping you engaged with its unpredictability. I also noticed that Sonication leans more into like that melodic elements compared to their previous releases. You could hear hints of this shift creeping in on Valediction, I think it's called, but here it's fully realized. There are plenty of highlights across this record, tracks like Even Fall, In Solitude, and The Prolonging. It showcases Obscura's ability to balance fucking technicality with emotion. Then there's Beyond the Seventh Sun, which starts with a beautiful clean guitar intro before launching into a full-force instrumental assault filled with stunning melodic runs and tempo shifts. It's moments like this that remind you that Obscura isn't just about speed. They're about crafting intricate sonic landscapes that take you on a journey. Other standout tracks include Stardust, The Sun Eater, and the self-titled track of Sonication. The title track is a 7-minute fucking banger, blending everything great about this album into one massive intense composition. The transitions are seamless, the musicality is rich, and the song leaves such a lasting impression long after it ends. Overall, I think a Sonication is a fantastic addition to Obscura's already impressive discography. The songwriting is tight, the composition is layered and engaging, and it delivers both technical brilliance and genuine emotion. I'm scoring this a strong 80%. It's an extremely well-crafted album that showcases Obscura's evolution while still staying true to their progressive death metal roots. It's an album that will definitely reward multiple listens, that's for sure, and I can't wait to keep revisiting it. Let's now head over to Greece, where we find Spectral Path and their third studio album, Scars of Existence. It was released independently on February 1st. This is an intriguing album blending atmospheric black metal with punishing instrumentals. The production is dark and immersive, pulling you deep into a medieval world drenched in blood and fire. From the haunting opening moments, it feels like stepping back in time, witnessing the weight of human suffering, sacrifice, and unrelenting darkness. The intro in particular conjures a vivid imagery, almost as if Christ himself is about to be nailed to the cross, surrounded by wails of the damned. The atmosphere is a slow burn, taking its time to build, but when it does, it hits fucking hard. There are soaring melancholic guitar solos, relentless tremolo riffing, and black and shrieked vocals that cut through the dense fog-like production. The vocals are monstrous, full of anguish and power, though they could have been placed higher in the mix. Still, their slightly buried nature adds to the album's oppressive, suffocating aura, making it feel like distant echoes from a tormented past. The songwriting is strong, with a balance of raw aggression and melodic grandeur. The Forsaken Rites is a bleak, moody track that begins with an eerie spoken word passage, setting the stage for a majestic wall of atmospheric black metal. Scorn for the Sacred brings a more progressive edge. Its structure shifting like an ever-changing storm, with relentless blast beats and intricate guitar layers weaving together in chaos and fucking beauty. Then you have standout tracks like the Fractured Crown of Man, the Defiance of the Eternal, and the Twilight of the Soul. These songs encapsulate everything great about this album, from the chilling tremolo picked melodies to the sheer emotion pouring out of the vocals. Every note carries weight, every riff feels like a scream against the void. The production is fittingly raw, though as mentioned before, the vocals could use a bit more prominence to fully unleash their fucking power. The album reaches its peak with Through the Veil of Eternity, a 15-minute monolith of sorrow and fury. It's an epic in every sense, layered, unpredictable, with rich, dynamic shifts. The songwriting is rock solid, taking you through a sprawling cinematic passage of darkness and despair. However, I have to be honest, around the halfway mark, my attention started to drift. At over 70 minutes in length, the album begins to feel overwhelming, almost overstaying its welcome. There's no doubt that it's a carefully crafted work of art, but at times the sheer weight of it makes it feel more like an endurance test rather than an engaging journey. That being said, Scars of Existence is an album that demands patience. This isn't just a standard atmospheric black metal album, it's a deep immersive experience filled with layers of emotion and subtlety that requires multiple listens to fully unravel. There are moments of absolute fucking brilliance here, even if at times the album's relentless density make it difficult to digest in one sitting. For now, I'm scoring Spectral Path Scars of Existence a 70%. I need to spend more time with this album as it feels like one that will reveal more with each listen. A solid effort with a lot of substance, but perhaps a little bit too much at once. Next up on Discovery is the Chilean death metal band Storm Death and their new album Chaos Will Reign. It was released on February 6th through Suicide Records. Take a listen. What a fantastic fucking album this is. I was completely blown away by the compositions and musicianship. While it immediately reminded me of Nile, Storm Death takes a different approach, offering a less technical but equally immersive experience. This album is monstrously heavy, yet maintains an eerie atmosphere that keeps you hooked from the start to fucking finish. The production is crisp and full, allowing every instrument to shine. The drum hits are powerful, the guitar tones are sharp and crushing, and the bass rumbles through the mix like an unstoppable force. The vocals are fucking terrific on this, with guttural, deep growls that add an ominous weight to the entire record. The atmosphere is something special. The reduction enhances the unsettling, almost ritualistic tone, making this a journey as much as an album. Calling to War is a slow brooding beast, starting off with like a crushing weight before transitioning into drawn out melancholic guitar solos that give it an almost hypnotic feel. Then you have Those Who Came From the Dark Side of the Stars, a brutally intense track that showcases fantastic death metal vocals alongside fucking Egyptian inspired melodies, adding an exotic, almost mystical edge. The outro of this song is incredible, something that feels straight out of Nile. Something that feels straight out of a Nile album, grand, epic, and completely immersive. The drumming across the record is thunderous, and I mean thunderous, with relentless double bass work that shakes the foundation of each song. The blast beats are scattered throughout the album, but some moments lean more toward black metal than death metal, especially on the sprawlingly titled Paradigm of Experiment inserted across the universe. It responds to the inconsistencies of human creation. That's a mouthful. As excessive as the title is, the song is phenomenal, transitioning seamlessly between atmospheric black metal sections and pummeling death metal, creating a dynamic and unpredictable experience. Ruins Babylon's Fall is a standout track featuring vicious death metal vocals that rip through the mix with an almost demonic intensity. The song shifts between crushing, doomy sections and blistering speed, creating an apocalyptic atmosphere that feels like the soundtrack to an empire collapsing in real time. There's an eerie, almost mystical quality to the composition, further enhanced by the deep guttural vocals delivery that makes every moment feel suffocatingly heavy. Infamous Discord and Ouroboros are equally devastating, striking a balance between pure aggression and haunting melodic undertones. The way Storm Death seamlessly blends together death metal influences with unique structural choices ensures the album never feels repetitive. Overall, Chaos Will Reign is an exceptional modern death metal album. It really is, packed with variety, rich atmospheres, and just phenomenal musicianship. It refuses to be just another old school worship record. Instead, Storm Death fuses elements from multiple subgenres, keeping things fresh and unpredictable. Whether it's the eerie mystical intro of Ruins, Babylon's Fall, or the crushingly heaviness of Infamous Discord, this album is guaranteed to put a smile on the face of any death metal fan, I reckon. After multiple listens, I continue to discover new details buried within its dense fucking soundscapes, making a record that rewards repeated listens. I'm giving this a solid 85%. A terrific album from start to finish. If you like Noel, there's a high chance you'll love this. And now for the main event of this week's discovery, one of my all-time favorite bands has just unleashed their new album. It's none other than the prog metal giants Dream Theater, and their new album Parasomnia dropped on February 7th through Inside Out Music. Take a listen. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. I'm completely biased when it comes to Dream Theater. I've been obsessed with this band ever since I first heard the song Octavarium, and from that moment I spiraled down a rabbit hole of intricate compositions, insane musicianship, and some of the most fucking emotionally charged progressive metal ever created. Awake still holds the crown as my personal favourite Dream Theater album, and while A View from the Top of the World didn't initially win me over, it's been slowly growing on me for about 3 years now. But when the announcement hit that Mike Portnoy was officially rejoining the band, I felt that surge of excitement again. It was like a long lost part of Dream Theater that was coming home. Then they dropped Night Terror as the first single back in October, and holy shit, that was the moment I knew Dream Theater was back in full force. Now don't get me wrong, I have nothing but respect for the Mike Mangini era. The guy's an absolute fucking machine, and he played a massive role in keeping the band alive for over a decade. But there's just something about Portnoy's return that feels like a resurrection. His chemistry with Petrucci, Maison, Jordan Rudess and Labrie is unmatched, and you can hear it all over this fucking album. It's like a band rejuvenated, completely in sync and firing on all fucking cylinders. And Parasomnia, man, this thing is just terrific. I've only given this about 10 listens. I've listened to this all fucking day, and so far, but from the very first spin, it had me fucking hooked. Midnight struck, and there I was sitting in my car parked outside my house cracking this album for over an hour. My neighbours were probably looking out their window wondering what the hell was going on. Well, let me tell you what was going on, you fuckers. I was experiencing new Dream Theater. This album is an absolute statement. It's incredible to hear Dream Theater still sounding this fucking powerful and inspired so deep in their career. The soundscapes are immersive, laid with gorgeous fucking melodies and drenched in atmosphere. It's a hard-hitting album, though maybe not quite as crushing as Train of Thought or even A View from the Top of the World. That was a pretty heavy album, but it still delivers some heavy moments. John Petrucci's syncopated riffs are relentless, transitioning seamlessly into some of his most soaring emotional solos in years. Dead Asleep stands out with its addictive groove, a simple but head-banging worthy riff that locks you in instantly. And then there's James Labrie. I know some people love to give him shit, but I've always been a fan of his voice, and he sounds absolutely fantastic on this record. There's so much passion in his performance, and you can hear it in tracks like Night Terror, Bend the Clock, and the Shadow Man Incident. But more than anything, the emotion is back. That's something I feel Dream Theater has been missing in certain albums over the past decade. It's not just technicality for the sake of technicality. This album feels fucking alive. You can hear the tension in the heavier sections, the weight behind the melodies, the intensity of the build-ups. And when they slow things down, those quieter moments hit just as hard. It's that same emotional balance that they nailed on Black Clouds and Silver Linings, a mix of grandeur, darkness and melody. Petrucci is absolutely in his element here, delivering some of his best fucking solos in a long time. Bend the Clock starts off slow, gradually building into this breathtaking climax with a guitar solo that just bleeds with feeling. Dead Asleep is another highlight with a solo that seamlessly flows from the crushing riff work before it. And we need to talk about the MVP of this record, Mike Portnoy. His drumming is the missing puzzle piece that brings this whole album together. The snap of the snare, the intricate fills, the way he drives the shifting time signatures, it's like he never left. His work on the Shadow Man Incident, the album's sprawling near 20-minute epic, is simply phenomenal. It immediately brought me back to Metropolis Part 2 scenes from my memory days. Now, while this might not be my absolute favourite Dream Theater epic, it's probably my least favourite to be honest, I can already tell it's one of those tracks that's going to grow on me more and more with each listen. You could tell like Portnoy, Petrucci and Labrie poured everything into this album, every note, every transition. It's meticulously crafted from start to fucking finish. And let's not forget Jordan Rudess. The man is a wizard as always. And while his role here is a little more restrained compared to some of their past albums, he still manages to steal the spotlight in key moments. His orchestral flourishes and eerie soundscapes add so much to the atmosphere of this record, giving it like a cinematic, almost nightmarish quality. He shines especially in the Shadow Man Incident, where his keyboard solos twist and morph through different textures, adding to the sense of unease. Now let's talk about Midnight Messiah. This one sounds like it could have come straight from Train of Thought. It's got that punchy, no-nonsense heaviness to it. That said, something about the structure feels a bit disjointed, especially when the chorus kicks in. But overall, it's still a killer track. A Broken Man has a crushing, almost Opeth-like intro, packed with dark, brooding riffs and some of Portnoy's hardest fucking hitting drumming on the album. Then there's In the Arms of Morpheus, the album's massive opener. What a way to kick things off. The death metal inspired riffing, the jants, the relentless drumming. It immediately establishes the tone of the album, plunging you into a dreamlike horror show. So, is Parasomnia a concept album? Not exactly, but I'd argue it's a thematic concept album. Each track tells a different story, but they're all tied together under one overarching theme: sleep disorders and the nightmares lurking beneath the surface. From sleep paralysis to night terrors, from dreamlike hallucinations to the shadows that move in the corners of your room, this album catches that surreal, unsettling experience of being trapped between sleep and wakefulness. It's a fascinating concept, and the music reflects it perfectly, shifting between serene dreamscapes and moments of sheer chaos. Dream Theater finally put the dream in Dream Theater on the albums. There's lots to unpack here, and honestly, we could spend all day dissecting every detail, but this is a discovery episode, so let's wind it down. To sum it all up, Parasomnia is fantastic. One of Dream Theater's strongest albums in a long time. Maion's bass is more prominent than usual, which is always a win. I love the jazzy fusion like undertones in Night Terror, and the horror-filled spiraling scales in the Shadow Man Incident make for an absolute perfect closer. This album will take time to fully digest, but I'm more than ready for the ride. With that being said, I'm scoring Parasomnia an 85%. It's a damn strong record, but I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments of familiarity. Some sections sound eerily close to riffs and ideas from previous albums, like Midnight Messiah has a riff that echoes the root of all evil, and certain moments in the epic track feel straight out of the Astonishing. But even with that, they managed to breathe new life into these elements. It's like a fusion of every fucking era of Dream Theater, yet somehow it still sounds fresh. Only time will tell if Parasomnia cements itself as a timeless classic, but for now I'm absolutely loving every second of it. So let me enjoy every second more of it. So yeah, that's it for Discovery. I did say there was going to be a double header this week. Well, unfortunately, I'm fucking busy this weekend, so I do apologize. I might bring out another Discovery midweek. I'm not too sure yet, but I got a few other videos planned for next week. So yeah, there are a lot of new albums that came out this week, and I haven't really covered them at all, so I might do a double header next week. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Let me know what you discovered down below. It's been fun. And I'll see you in the next one.